Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the 2024 NBA Playoffs first round preview episode of Sports Hour Plus with Miller and Watson. Obviously, once again, I am solo dolo because, um, you know, it's Saturday. Obviously, sports happened on the weekend. Morgan is in Boston doing some coverage around some Ivy League sports. And so here I am once again, solo dolo, getting ready to preview these first round NBA playoff matchups starting today. It just tipped off between the Cleveland Cavaliers and Orlando Magic. But before we get into that preview, make sure you follow us on X/Twitter. Morgan is at M underscore India underscore Miller. And I am at KYLANWWATSON. Make sure you definitely follow us for your basketball, football, soccer, dance, whatever updates. We got you. So thank you guys for joining me on a Saturday afternoon. So just preview this. The Orlando Magic and Cleveland Cavaliers started their first round matchup today, probably a few minutes ago. This is going to be a very, very good matchup that matches up a young up and coming team, the Orlando Magic, with a Cleveland team that's basically a top four, top five established threat in the Eastern Conference, but they're kind of teetering a little bit just because we don't really know what it's going to look like if they lose, whether it be in this round or the next round. If Donovan Mitchell's going to stay there, sign an extension, or go somewhere else. So I'm just going to preview this matchup for you guys. The Magic's X factors are a lot. They have a lot of X factors. Obviously, you can count on Paolo Banchero. You've got Jalen Suggs. He's a big X factor. What his defense looks like on the backcourt duo, or what his defense looks like on Donovan Mitchell. And if he can slow down Donovan Mitchell, then I think it looks good for the Magic. And obviously, the other thing with the Magic is the rest of their bench. Former Sixer Markel Fultz, not Malik Fultz. Lord Jesus, where did that come from? Markel Fultz and the rest of the Orlando bench. Can they outscore Cleveland's bench? Um, and if they can, then it's looking really, really good for the Magic. Those are the X factors. Jalen Suggs' defense on Donovan Mitchell and/or Darius Garland, and also other than Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner, can somebody else be the third scorer? Is that Jonathan Isaacs? Is that Turner? Who's it gonna be? That's what the Magic have to solve. Can they get a third scorer to show up and help them out? Because that, I think, is really what will pull the Magic over the top. Is it going to be Isaac? Is it going to be another big man? Is it going to be one of the forwards or guards? Is it going to be Markel Fultz? We will find out in the next couple of weeks. For the Cavaliers, their X factor, biggest X factor is Darius Garland. Can he put his imprint on this series? Obviously, Donovan Mitchell's going to get a lot of the attention. Can he do it? Can he score at least 25 points? Can him and Donovan Mitchell combine for about 55 of the Cavaliers' points a night? If that happens, then yeah, the Cavaliers will dominate the series and win in 5 or 6 games. The other X factor as well, Jared Allen. Is he going to be able to defend Franz Wagner and all the other big men for the Magic? Now the Magic aren't really a real big team, but they are a long team, and Jared Allen's offensive rebounding ability is going to be big to keep possessions alive for the Magic, for the Cavaliers, and in order to get them more opportunities. And again, the Cavaliers bench is also an X factor. Can somebody on that Cavaliers bench score at least 13 to 15 points? Can they get multiple people to do that? Can their bench outscore the Cavaliers? I mean, the Magic bench. I'm getting these teams all mixed up. Sorry, y'all. Can the Cavaliers bench outscore the Magic bench? Those are the X factors. On the Magic side, Jalen Suggs' defense on Donovan Mitchell. Can the Magic bench outscore, led by Markelle Fultz, can it outscore Cleveland's bench? For Cleveland, can the real Darius Garland stand up? Can he score at least 25 to 30 points a night in this series? Can the Cavaliers bench outscore the Magic's bench? And if that happens, Jarrett Allen, can his offensive rebounding ability and defense come through? Can he keep the big men of the Magic off the boards and keep them inefficient throughout this game? And if he can do that, then this is my serious prediction. I'm going with the upset. I think the Magic have a little bit more of a team and a little bit more balanced than the Cavaliers. I'm going for the upset. I think the Magic beat the Cavaliers. I'm picking the 4. I'm picking the 5 over the 4. I think the Magic win in 6 games, maybe 7. Donovan Mitchell, I think, will battle it out, and he really wants to take the Cavaliers at least to the second round. But I think it won't happen. I think Paolo Banchero and the Magic are ascending, and I think now is their time. I think they beat the Cavaliers in 6 games. To the other matchup happening after that one at 3:30 p.m. this afternoon. Phoenix Suns versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. Okay, guys, this is probably outside of the outside of the Pacers Bucks match. This is probably going to be the best series in the first round, right? In either conference. This is going to be the best series because you got Kevin Durant and Devin Booker up against Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards, an old guard superstar pair and a new school's superstar pair. You know, I know obviously some of y'all don't consider Karl Anthony Towns a superstar, but I think in this case he is, and Anthony Edwards is the ascending star. And so it's just a matter of which duo do you have more faith in and which team do you have more faith in here, right? Now I'm going to run through the Suns X factors. I just wrote an article about this for lastwordonsports.com. It should be in the description box below, so definitely make sure you check that out. But the Suns X factors are 2 people, Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal. Both of them acquired, Grayson Allen in September of 2023. Obviously Royce O'Neal was the most recent acquisition in February, so just over 2 months ago. So I think Grayson Allen, he's been a big piece and role player for them. He scores about 13.5 points per game. And against the Timberwolves in particular, he scores about 19 points per game. So if he can score about 19 to about 22 points a game in this contest, in this series, and has his 3-point shot working, I've seen this personally when the Suns and the Sixers matched up a few months ago, right? Like the Sixers had a chance to come back in that game, and Jarrett Allen just made sure it didn't happen. Like when he is on from the 3-point line, he can be the ultimate X factor and push the Suns over the top. So the Timberwolves have to shut him down. They cannot allow him to take easy, wide open shots. That's where the Sixers went wrong. They gave him easy, wide open shots, and he killed them with that. So the Timberwolves have to not give wide open shots to Grayson Allen. Make him make difficult shots. Make him take shots on the move. Make him lay the ball up. He's not really a finisher. Make him do that. The other thing that Grayson Allen is known for is one of those pesky Duke players. He plays some great defense. So his defense on Kevin Durant and probably Devin Booker is going to be big. Can he shut one of them down? Or obviously you can't really shut Booker and KD down, but can he make it difficult? Can he make them not have an efficient night? If that happens, I'm sorry, not can he make Anthony Edwards? My bad again. So I'm sorry, y'all. I'm so twisted up. Crazy. Can he make Anthony Edwards have a difficult night? Can he disrupt the backup guards of the Timberwolves? If he can do that, then yeah, the Suns can win this series. And Royce O'Neal, he comes off the bench. He was brought in to stabilize a struggling bench. A struggling bench. Like it's an understatement, probably disrespectful to even say struggling. Like the Suns really didn't have a real good bench this year, but once they got Royce O'Neal, it got better. They got better defensively at wing defense because he can definitely do that. He can rebound. He can shoot the 3. If he has a good game, if he's able to slow down Karl Anthony Towns, I write this down. If he's able to slow down Karl Anthony Towns, then that's another one. Then the Suns have a real good chance in this series. So if Grayson Allen can continue to score 19 to 25 points a night as he's done against the Timberwolves in the regular season, if he can continue to do that, play great defense on Anthony Edwards, and slow him down or make him have an inefficient night, then the Suns can definitely win this series. As unlikely as it may seem, because there's a lot on the line here for the Suns. I don't know, there's speculation here that it might be over for the Suns as a big three with Beal, Booker, and Durant if they lose this, because obviously you got those three talents together. They haven't really played, I think, more than 20 games together. And there's some big things on the line for the Suns. So this is probably a must-win series for the Suns, right, over the Timberwolves. But for the Timberwolves, they're the 3 seed. It's right there for them. And so for the Timberwolves, their X factor is Naz Reid. If Naz Reid can continue to shoot threes, continue to do what he did in the absence of Karl-Anthony Towns, which score about 15 to 20 points a night, if he can grab some rebounds, if he can keep the big men of the Suns off the board, if he can play some stellar defense against a Kevin Durant, against the forwards and the centers of the Suns, then it's going to look good. If he is leading the bench unit for the Timberwolves and he's scoring at least 15 to 20 points, that is a great night for the Timberwolves, and they will probably more than likely win this series. So those are the X factors, right? If Naz Reid and the rest of the Timberwolves bench comes to play, the Suns have no chance. If the Suns, Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal can put their stamp on the game, if they can make Karl-Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards have inefficient nights, if Grayson Allen scoring at least 25 points and hitting a bunch of threes, then the Suns can pull off the upset. So my series prediction here is I'm going to go with the young up and coming team over. I'm going to stay with the theme here. I'm going to go with the young up and coming team over the team that might be teetering and about to break up. So I'm going to go with the Timberwolves in 7 games over the Suns. I think the greatness of Kevin Durant and Devin Booker will keep this series close, but ultimately I think that the young and more together team wins, and I think the Timberwolves will beat the Suns. I'm going with youth over experience here. Timberwolves in 7. Now to the series, 35 years in the making. I covered this earlier in the week, actually on Thursday, a few days ago, on episode 22 of the Sports Hour Plus with Miller and Watson. Definitely pause this, check that out, come right back to me right here, right now. But yeah, it's been 35 years since the 76ers and the Knicks matched up in the playoffs. In 1989, that was a sweep for the Knicks, and obviously this is now 2024. I think this will be a really, really good matchup. It's probably going to go at least 5 to 6 games. Here what the Sixers have working for them is they're the more talented team. They have the coaching advantage. They obviously, like I said, have the talent advantage with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey being the more talented duo. The Knicks are hurt. Bojan Bogdanovic is dealing with a wrist injury. Obviously, they don't have Julius Randle. So we will see what happens here. But I think the Sixers have the talent and the coaching advantage. But let's get to the X factors. So the X factors for the Sixers are, as I wrote in my article, just wrote an article last night about this too, previewing this series, WatsonSportsTakes.com. That should also be in the description box below where I talk about this 76ers Knicks series. This is really going to come down to a couple of things for the Sixers. Joel Embiid's health. Can Joel Embiid do like he did on Wednesday in the fourth quarter? Can he take over a game? He even if he's hobbled. Now, what should help him here is obviously he doesn't lose to the Knicks. He's 16-3 against the Knicks in his career. The other thing that's going to help him is the Knicks play the slowest pace in the league. I don't think that's going to change in this series. I think that if he can deal with the pain tolerance, and he doesn't have to, like he was forcing it against the Heat and trying to do a little too much. If he can pass the ball and rely on his improved playmaking skills and at least have 5 to 7 assists a night, I think he will put his stamp on this game. And if his teammates can cash in on the wide open opportunities, then I think the Sixers will be in great shape in this series. So that's one of them. Obviously, Joel Embiid's health. If he looks like his dominant self tonight at 6 o'clock, then the Knicks have no chance. I also think Kelly Oubre Jr. and Tobias Harris will also be two big factors. Kelly Oubre Jr., his defense, on Dante DiVincenzo and Bojan Bogdanovic will more than likely determine this series. Because if he can make Dante DiVincenzo and Bogdanovic work for their points and have inefficient nights, if he's forcing them to shoot on the move, forcing them to into the help defense, blocking their shots, not sending them to the line, not fouling them. If he can defend without fouling both of them, then the Sixers are in great shape. And also, if he can continue scoring at least 15 to 20 points a night. Now, he didn't really have a real good night, obviously, against the Heat. I mean, no one really does when the Heat are playing that stifling zone like they were on Wednesday. But he hit a pivotal shot. He cut. Joel Embiid found him with the no-look pass, and he had an N1 basket, and that's really what helped the Sixers pull off the victory over the Heat. So if he can continue to cut, if he can continue to score those baskets, if he can continue to pester Bogdanovic, DiVincenzo, even Anunoby. Anunoby's going to be another one that he'll probably have to defend. So if he can do that, then it looks good. Now, Tobias Harris, obviously there's been the Enquirer's Keith Pompey is reporting that the Sixers and Tobias Harris may part ways at the end of this season, wherever it ends. A little bit of a no knock on Keith. He's a great reporter. A little interesting timing there with that coming out right before this series starts. But I think if Tobias Harris can score at least 20 points, the Sixers are 101 and 67 when Tobias Harris scores 20 plus points. Tobias Harris is a native New Yorker. He loves playing New York teams. So I think if he can score at least 20 points a game in this series, then the Sixers will win it in about 5 to 6 games. So those are my X factors. Joel Embiid's health, Kelly Oubre and his defense on OG Anunoby, on Dante DiVincenzo. Obviously, it won't just be him defending DiVincenzo. He'll probably see Kyle Lowry too, and OG Anunoby, Dante DiVincenzo, and on Bojan Bogdanovic, who's dealing with a wrist injury. If he can play some great defense and continue to score 15 to 20 points or more a night, then the Sixers will win the series. And Tobias Harris, can he play good defense on his matchup, whoever the power forward is that's going against him, and can he at least score 20 points? If he can do that, the Sixers are 101 and 67. So those are my X factors. And obviously, the one that I totally forgot to mention, Tyrese Maxey. If Tyrese Maxey can cook Jalen Brunson and cook his matchup, he scores at least 25. He's scored at least 25 points in every game against the Knicks. If he can continue to do that, if he can score 30 points, because for Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, and this is the bad thing for Knicks fans, right? Now, Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey just had their worst game of the season against the Heat on Wednesday, and that was because of that stifling zone and them doing a little too much. So if they play within themselves, if they attack, if they take full advantage of their matchup and the fact that the Knicks have no one available who can stop either one of them, then this is a bad thing for the Knicks. And I don't know why there's a lot of Knicks fans and a lot of national reporters so confident that the Knicks can win this series, just because the Knicks are one of the weakest 2 seeds in both conferences. And so we'll see what it looks like for the Knicks, but this is going to be a great series. Let me hasten to the Knicks X factors here. The Knicks X factors here, very simply, their bench. Can their bench unit outscore the Sixers bench unit? Can they get a lot more points from Dante DiVincenzo, right? If Bojan Bogdanovic is hobbled by his wrists, and if he can't score at least 15 to 17 points, then those shooting opportunities then go to Dante DiVincenzo. Can he score? Can he score those threes? Can he expose an aging Kyle Lowry? Can he score points? Can he do more than shoot a three? Can he find the open man for the Knicks? The other thing for the Knicks is they have to win the rebounding battle. If they are getting out rebounded by the Sixers, they will lose this series. If they can't get offensive rebounds, if they can't give DiVincenzo, Hart, and Brunson multiple looks at shots, then they will lose the series. So they have to win the rebounding battle. They also have to slow down at least one of Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. They won't be able to slow down Joel Embiid because they don't have Julius Randle. So then it falls to, can Jalen Brunson, can Dante DiVincenzo, can they find a Tyrese Maxey stopper, somebody who can make it difficult on Tyrese? If they can't do that, then it's not really looking good. Also, Jalen Brunson will have to be a superstar here. Instead of just scoring 35, he'll probably have to score 40 to 50 a night for them to go over the Sixers. The Sixers are one of the best defensive teams in the league. So are the Knicks, but like I said, for the Knicks, the X factors are the bench unit has to come to play. Dante DiVincenzo has to do more than just shoot threes. He's got to create opportunities for his teammates. The Knicks have to win the rebounding battle, especially the offensive rebounding battle against the Sixers. They have to get more than one opportunity at the basket. And Jalen Brunson has to go God mode for them to win, for them to really, really win this series. And he has to create multiple opportunities and high percentage opportunities for his teammates. And if he can do that, then the Knicks could win this series in 5 or 6 games. But my prediction, like I said, the Sixers have the coaching advantage. The Sixers have the talent advantage. They have a lot of stats working in their favor. Joel Embiid being 16-3 against the Knicks. Obviously, that third loss was recently when Joel Embiid played in only one of the 4 games this year between the Knicks and the Sixers, and that was a 3-point loss, I believe, or a 5-point loss to the Knicks. So, and that was when he was a lot more healthy, obviously. But I mean, if Joel Embiid doesn't lose to the Knicks in his career, I think that the Sixers will win this series in 5 to 6 games. I think if they play like they should play, if they don't have a power outage like they did against the Heat, and they found a way to win that game. So if they come to play, if the bench unit comes to play, if Buddy Hield attacks, if Nicholas Batum is hitting threes, if Kelly Oubre is playing for being that two-way monster that he is, if Tobias Harris keeps his streak going against New York teams and keeps scoring and shooting them off the floor, then yeah, the Sixers will win this series in 5 to 6 games. All right, to the other game that's happening today, another grudge matchup. Lakers versus the Nuggets. The Lakers beat the Pelicans on Wednesday to be able to, for the right to do this. The Lakers and the Nuggets. Oh man, this is going to be a series. This is one of those series where get your popcorn ready. Like, Darvin Ham, the Los Angeles Lakers coach was saying they want all the smoke. They ready for the Nuggets this time. Blah blah blah. This is going to be a great series. It's got a lot of good drama with it. I don't think the Lakers really have a chance against the Nuggets, but I'll get to that in a minute. But the X factors for the Lakers, and those that don't know, we did get a report that Jared Vanderbilt during practice yesterday was seen in a walking boot. Don't know if he'll play or not. We'll find out at 8 o'clock. But Jared Vanderbilt isn't available. And other than Anthony Davis, it doesn't seem like they have an available big man outside of Jackson Hayes. And Jackson Hayes is good, but he's not a defensive stopper. If they don't have somebody like a Vanderbilt who can check a Nikola Jokic as best as you can, obviously I won't be disrespectful to the MVP, the 2-time and probably soon to be 3-time MVP, because no one can really stop Jokic and what he does. But Vanderbilt can make it difficult on him. He can play some defense. But if he's not available, oh man, it's looking bleak for the Lakers. But if they can find somebody who can make it a little bit more difficult on Jokic, if they can play him up a little bit, make him shoot more difficult shots, make the pass a little bit harder for him to make. If they could keep him inefficient, they keep his assists low, and by low assists, I mean instead of like 15, 13 assists a night, he's got like 7 or 8 or 9 assists, which are low by his standards, then the Lakers may have a chance in this series. So the defense on Jokic has to be like damn near stifling for them to win the series, and the person who could do that is Jared Vanderbilt. So if he's hobbled in any way, I I don't know if the Lakers really have a chance to stop Jokic. The other thing is the Lakers bench has to outscore the Nuggets bench. Now that would seem like a laughable thing last year, but this year the Nuggets bench isn't really as good or as great as it was last year. So I think if the Lakers can get something out of their bench unit, if somebody can score at least 13 to 15 points a night in this series, then the Lakers have a chance. The other one is Austin Reeves and Roy Hachimura. I said this the last on Tuesday when I did this preview. Shout out to y'all there. Definitely check that episode out. If you didn't, pause this and come right back. I did an episode on Tuesday about the play-in tournament. So when against the Nuggets, the one thing you could do is you could shoot the perimeter and attack the paint because their defense is good, but it's not stifling. So Roy Hachimura and Austin Reeves have to take advantage of their matchup, and D'Angelo Russell. If all three of them can score at least 15 to 20 points a night, the Lakers will be in great shape, and they'll be able to pull off the upset and send the defending champs home in at least 6 games. So they need something from Reeves, from Hachimura, from Russell. They need something from them. They need something from their bench unit. They need Jared Vanderbilt to be healthy and be able to play some type of defense on Jokic to make it a little bit more difficult for them. For him, that's the Lakers X factors. For the Nuggets X factors is very simple. Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. have to impose their wills on this game. Now, Jared Vanderbilt is able to play, and he's able to play somewhat of great defense on Jokic and make it a little bit more difficult on him. Then it's up to Murray and Michael Porter Jr. One or both of them has to combine with Jokic to score at least. I would say, if Jokic is dropping 30, Murray is dropping like 25, and Porter Jr. is at least dropping 19 to 20, then they need to combine for at least 90 of the Nuggets points, whatever the final total ends up being. And if both of them can do that and put their stamp on this game, then the Lakers have no chance. And the Nuggets bench has to give them something. Obviously, Jokic, Murray, and Porter Jr. have to rest eventually, so they have to give them something. And those non-Jokic, Murray, and Porter minutes. Obviously, I think Michael Malone, he's a smart championship winning coach. He'll probably stifle Porter Jr. Not stifle, but stagger. My bad, wrong S word. Stagger Porter Jr. and Murray, and make sure that when one's off, the other one's on. When Jokic is off, at least both of them are on, just to keep those non-Jokic minutes passable, so that he can get his rest and they can still be competitive. My series prediction here, I honestly am going to give the Lakers some credit and say that the Nuggets beat them in 6 games instead of the 5 games like they did last year. So I think it'll be Nuggets in 6. I just think the Nuggets are the more talented team. I think there'll be too much for the Lakers, especially as hobbled as the Lakers are right now. I think the Lakers need to get younger in the offseason. Get some younger and more healthy forwards and centers. Get a more defensive minded center in there, especially since you have to see Nikola Jokic a lot in the Western Conference. You probably need a defensive-minded center to make it somewhat more difficult on him. But yeah, I think the Nuggets are the more talented team. I'm going to go with the Nuggets over the Lakers in 6 games. I know I'm going out on a limb by saying that. All right. So yesterday, and this is my setup for this next series because that ends the playoff games for today. All right, so the Heat beat the Bulls last night, and they won the right to face the Celtics. Now, in complete transparency, when I did this, when I said this on Thursday when we did the Sports Hour Plus with Miller Watson, episode 22. Again, pause this, come right back. I said that I thought Kobe White and DeMar DeRozan would be too much for a Jimmy Butler-less Heat team. And the Heat proved me wrong, man. Tyler Hero turned back the clock. Excuse me. Tyler Hero turned back the clock. Well, not really turned back the clock. He's a young man, but Tyler Hero put his stamp on that game last night and took the Heat over the Bulls and took the Bulls out. It was a great series for the Bulls, but they just couldn't hit a shot because the Heat played the stifling defense. Experience won over over a less experienced team. I should have known better than to doubt the Heat, but the Heat proved me wrong, and they beat the Bulls, set them home. And now, tomorrow afternoon on ESPN at 1 o'clock, they will play the Boston Celtics. Heat Celtics again, this time in the first round. The Celtics obviously have the rest advantage over the Heat. Obviously, with no Jimmy Butler, who for the Heat, who this gets into the X factors for the Heat. Who is going to check Jason Tatum, right? Usually that would be Jimmy Butler, but now Jimmy Butler is not available. They don't really have a small forward. It's Javi Jaquez is going to check him, the rookie against an established veteran in Jason Tatum. I think even though Jaquez is coming, he's an up-and-coming player. He's a great defender. I just think he's going to be barbecue chicken against Jason Tatum. And if the Heat can't figure out a way to defend Jason Tatum, I didn't even get to Jaylen Brown yet, right? Like they have another problem because they have to guard. Somebody has to guard him, and he's the two guard. So somebody has to guard him. So that's another problem for them. It's Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero's going to be barbecue chicken if he has to defend Jaylen Brown. So before we even get there, Jason Tatum, like the Heat have to figure out, and Eric Spoelstra will have something for Tatum and Brown, but they'll have to figure that out. And if they can make Tatum and Brown have inefficient nights, then the Heat have a chance in this series. I don't think they really do. I mean, you've got Jrue Holiday, you've got Kristaps Porzingis. I know Porzingis hasn't really been healthy, but I think he should be ready to go tomorrow afternoon. But even if he's not, like the Celtics have the best starting five in the league, the highest scoring starting five in the league. So for the Heat, one of the biggest X factors is how are you going to defend Tatum and Brown, especially Jason Tatum without Jimmy Butler. What are you going to do against Jaylen Brown? Obviously you have Tyler Hero. You may get Terry Rozier back. Both of those are really something that should make Jaylen Brown lose sleep. So the Eric Spoelstra has his work cut out for him. So that's going to be what's the defense going to look like on Tatum and Brown. That's one X factor there. Can Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero go God mode? For those that don't know, you may think I'm being blasphemous because I've said God mode a couple of times. God mode, greatness on a different level. God mode. Can either one of those? Can both of those players really? Can Hero and Adebayo both combine to score at least 80? They have to score. One of them has to score 30 plus. The other one has to score 40. I know that's not fair to both of them, but that's the breaks here when you're facing the Celtics. The duo just has to go up a level to beat the best team in the NBA. And so Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero, one of them or both of them have to score at least 70 to 80 points combined a night. So they have to account for at least 70 to 80 of the Heat's final score. If they can do that, they can win the series. And then again, the theme of the night: can the bench unit, can a role player go above and beyond? Is that Dylan Wright? Is that Duncan Robinson? Who for the Heat is going to go bananas against the Celtics? Who's going to take that matchup to say, oh, we don't have Jimmy Butler, but I'm going to get some money today because I'm going off. Who's going to be their Max Strus? Who's going to be that guy that goes off and makes the Celtics work for this series? For the Celtics, right, their X factors are pretty simple. Can their bench outscore the Heat's bench? The Heat really struggle if you don't turn the ball over. So that's another one. Before I even get to the bench, if the Celtics can keep their turnovers down, that's really where the game turned for the Sixers on Wednesday against the Heat. Again, you can check out my thoughts on that in the description box below between the Heat and the Sixers on Wednesday as well. But that's where the game really turned for the Sixers, when they started not turning the ball over and not giving the Heat free points. So if the Celtics can keep their turnovers low and they don't fall in love with the threes, one thing that the Celtics are known to do is fall in love with the three-pointer. If they don't fall in love with the three-pointer, if somebody else other than Tatum and Brown can score at least 15 to 20 points, this is why you got Kristaps Porzingis and Jrue Holiday. They're both are good enough to do that. And Derek White, I think, is the ultimate X factor for the Celtics. If Derek White can play excellent defense between him and Jrue Holiday, if one of them could stifle and make it difficult on Hero, then you solve one of the problems. So if that happens, and Derek White is also giving the Celtics at least 15, the Celtics will win this series pretty handily. So for the Heat, um, is what does their defense, their X factors, what does their defense look like against Tatum and Brown? How are they going to slow them down? I think Coach Spoelstra will be able to do that. Clearly, at the Heat, if nothing else, they have the coaching advantage over the Celtics, but I don't think that's really going to help them because they're very much suffering in the talent department. But if they can slow down Tatum and Brown, make somebody else beat them, then they have a chance in this series. Can their bench unit, can one of their role players, is it Dylan Wright? Is it Duncan Robinson? Can somebody give them a lift? Can they go bananas and score at least 25 in each of these games in this series? The other one, Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo have to go God mode. That is what is going to determine this series for the Heat. If that happens, then this could go 6 to 7 games. For the Celtics, their bench unit, can their bench unit stay doing what they've been doing all season and dominate the other bench unit? Can Derek White show up on the offensive and defensive side like he's been doing? Can him and Drew Holiday, slow down Tyler Hero and Terry Rozier if Terry Rozier plays? And if that happens, and obviously if they can get one of Drew Holiday or Kristaps Porzingis to be the third scorer, or if not both of them, a third and a fourth scorer, then yeah, the Heat have no chance. If the Celtics are as dominant as they were in the regular season and that carries over into this series, then yeah, the Heat have no chance. So my prediction for this series, I think the Celtics will beat the Heat in 5 games. They may sweep them, but I think it'll be 5. I think the Heat are good enough, and Eric Spoelstra is good enough to squeeze out at least 1 game from the Celtics. I think this ends in 5 games. I'm taking the Celtics in 5. All right, to the next matchup. Mavericks and Clippers at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. Again, it never seems to matter in these last few years where either of these teams are. It always comes down, at least in one series, whether it be the first round or the second round, to these two teams going at it. The Dallas Mavericks and the Clippers. Now, for those of you that do not know, Kawhi Leonard has been ruled out, for game 1 with a bad calf. He's dealing with a calf injury, so he will not be playing. So it falls on Paul George and James Harden going up against Luka, Kyrie, and the rest of the Mavericks. Ooh, this is going to be a good series. A good series, man. It's going to be an amazing series. So for the Mavs, right? Again, staying with the theme, can a role player? Is it Jalen? Is it Josh Green? Is it one of those? Can a role player for the Mavs step up and join Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic in the scoring party? If that happens, then the Mavs have a chance to pull off the upset and beat the higher seeded Clippers. The other thing, what does your defense look like? The one thing the Mavericks don't do is play good enough defense to win games. So what's your defense going to look like on Paul George and James Harden? Can somebody make it difficult on both of them to score? And if they can slow down one, if not both of them, then the Mavericks have a really good chance. The other thing is, can Luka Doncic continue to score at least 40 plus points? Can both Luka and Kyrie combine for at least, again, 75 of the total points for the Mavericks? If they can do that, then yeah, the Clippers don't stand a chance in this series. So that's, if you're a Mavericks fan, that's what you're looking to see. Can somebody else, can one of your role players step up, and can your bench unit outscore the deeper bench unit of the Clippers? If that happens, then you guys will look great and you'll have a chance to win this series. Like I just said, who's going to be that third scorer for the Mavericks? Is there going, they're going to need somebody to score 15 to 20 points along with whatever Kyrie and Luka give you. So if that happens, then yeah, they have a good chance. They also have a good chance of winning the series. The other thing, who's gonna, can somebody play some stifling defense and slow down Paul George and James Harden? And if that happens, then they're definitely going to win this series in 5 to 6 games. For the Clippers, your X factor, James Harden. James Harden is like your ultimate X factor, especially if Kawhi Leonard doesn't play in at least one or two of these games. James Harden has to find himself like he did and like he was and be a big factor like he was in the Celtics series. But he has to have a complete series. It can't just be, he's got to score at least 30 plus points, especially now with Kawhi being hampered. Got to score at least 30 plus points a night. Got to have at least 12 to 15 assists. No, there shouldn't be any argument from him now. He wanted to be in the Clippers. He wanted to be in a team that will build around him. Now he's there. Now he's got this problem now because Kawhi is a little bit hampered. So now he's got to go. He's got to find himself again. And if he can, I believe he can find himself. I think James Harden can turn back the clock, can score at least 30 plus points a night for the Clippers. And if he does that, then yeah, the Clippers will win this series in 6 or 7 games and do something they haven't done in quite a while, which is beat the Mavericks in the playoffs. So I think that's one X factor. And again, the other one, can the bench unit dominate the Mavericks bench unit? They should. The Clippers have an advantage. They have the deeper bench. They have more scorers on their bench. But can they outscore the Mavericks bench? If they can do that, then they can win this series. So for the Clippers, James Harden has to score at least 30 plus points a night and get at least 13 to 15 assists a night. And can their bench unit outscore the Mavericks bench unit? Like I said, they have the talent advantage there. They have way better role players than the Mavericks do. So that's going to determine it. Can James Harden and Paul George combine to score at least 70 plus points a night? Can Kyrie and Luka continue to combine for 70 plus points a night? And which of those duos will get a role player to step up and play beyond themselves? And whichever one of these teams gets that to happen will determine this series. It gets it to happen more consistently. So my prediction here, I'm gonna keep going with the trend. I think that the Mavericks will find a way to beat the Clippers in 7 games. I think the series goes the distance. I think Kawhi Leonard will come back and make a difference, but I think the Mavericks will beat them in 7 games. So I've got Mavericks, just to recap, I've got Mavericks in 7, Celtics in 5, Sixers in 5 to 6 games, Nuggets in 5, Magic over the Cavaliers in 6 games. Timberwolves over the Suns in 6 or 7 games as well. And like I just said, Mavericks over the Clippers in 7, Celtics in 5, and now we get to the next to last matchup of the weekend. The Pacers and Bucks. Ooh, a grudge match. This is one of these series that you're going to love. Excuse me. Like I said, if you like drama, this has a lot of drama. This is a rivalry that we really didn't know was a rivalry until we saw Giannis get all mad over a game ball and go, to the Pacers locker room looking for it. They said they didn't have it. That's really what turned this series off. And so, look, man, this series is going to be bananas. Especially with Giannis being down again, much like the Clippers series. For those of you that don't know, Giannis is dealing with an Achilles injury, and the calf injury. So he's definitely going to miss game 1 and probably game 2 as well. So if he's hampered, I really don't see the Bucks having a strong chance here. The biggest X factor for the Bucks here is Damian Lillard and Chris Middleton. Can both of those players combine for at least 60 plus points? Can somebody else join them in the party? Can the Bucks' depth show up against the more talented? I would never have said this before they traded for Pascal Siakam, and he clearly has combined with Tyrese Halliburton to have a very, 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 very dangerous duo there. And obviously you got Miles Turner, so they also have a big 3 in Indiana. But can Dame Time go God mode? Can he drop 60 a night? He'll definitely have his chance without Giannis there. Can Chris Middleton give you at least 20 or 25 a night? If that happens, if both him and Lillard combine for at least 75 of the Bucks' final total, then the Bucks have a good chance. but I just don't think that they will. Like the Pacers, I play with the fastest pace in the league, and that's really a bad combination for an old team like the Bucks. And they'll run them out the building. I think the Bucks kind of sold out for this matchup. They didn't want to play the Sixers or the Heat, so they kind of settled there for the 3 seed to play the Pacers. I just don't think it'll work out for them. I think the Pacers are the deeper team. They're definitely not the more talented team. Obviously, when you have Damian Lillard over there and Giannis, but Giannis might be hampered there. So I think it's leading toward the Pacers here. So my series prediction here, I think. Oh man, I'm gonna go with the upset. I'm gonna pick Pacers in 7. I think the Pacers, even though they're a lot less experienced than the Bucks, I think that they're the more together team. I think that there's some issues here. I don't know if it's with Dame or with the way that the Bucks are currently constructed, and they have Doc Rivers. I think he should be able to do that. To he did the Bucks clearly have the coaching advantage here, but I just think that the Pacers are the more together team. They play with the faster pace, and I think this is my second pick of the youth over experience. Matter of fact, third pick. My third pick of youth over experience. I'm going with I'm going with the Pacers in 7 over the Bucks. I think Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam give the Bucks fit. I think Miles Turner will be able to use his leg and youth advantage over Brooks Lopez. I just think it's leading. I just think the Pacers will put the Bucks out of their misery and beat them in 7 games. All right. So the other matchup I got wrong. The Zionless Pelicans beat the Kings. The Kings must have blew their load. I mean, they tried their best to come back, but they blew their load against ending the Warriors, and the Pelicans ended them. The Pelicans, like I said, they shot them when the Pelicans 3 pointers are working and they're able to attack the paint. Obviously, CJ McCollum turned back the clock last night. Um, and that's what happened. They beat the Kings, and Brandon Ingram came to play. He did something that me, RC, and I talked about on Thursday. Again, pause this. Come back to me. Go to episode 22. You see RC and I, one of our fans, RC, had a deep conversation about this. He wasn't on there, but he was commenting in the live comment section of this. And I totally agree with him that Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum, he just piggybacked off of what I said, that CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram would have to play beyond themselves for the Pelicans to beat the Kings. And that's exactly what happened. They beat the Kings. They beat the more talented team. CJ McCollum turned back the clock, and Brandon Ingram joined them. So, that brings us to this. Pelicans versus Thunder tomorrow at 9:30 p.m. The last game of the weekend of playoff basketball right here. I think this is going to be a great matchup of two young up and coming teams. Obviously, the Thunder were not to be, because I totally called it, but the biggest surprise of the season. They're the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, which is way younger, or just as young as the East. But yeah, the Thunder are the number 1 seed, and they have to play the Pelicans, the Zionless Pelicans. So here for the Pelicans, their X factors are once again the question that I asked on Thursday, and it got answered yesterday. Can CJ McCollum specifically, can he give them at least 25 a night? Can he go back to his Trailblazer days and be scoring at least 25 to 30 a night in this series? If he can do that, combined with Brandon Ingram also scoring 25 to 30, so they're combining for 50 to 60 of the Pelicans' final score, then the Pelicans can beat the Thunder. No matter how unlikely I and most of us think that is, the Pelicans can beat the Thunder if that happens. If both McCollum and Brandon Ingram are combining for at least 50 to 60 points of whatever the Pelicans' final point total is, they have a chance to beat the Thunder. The other thing, Troy Murphy Jr., Herb Jones and others, can the role players and the bench of the Pelicans, beat the more loaded bench of the Thunder? If they can do that, if they can outscore them, if they can win those McCollum and Brandon Ingramless minutes, then the Pelicans can pull off the upset and beat the Thunder. If that happens, again, to recap, if Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum can both continue to turn back the clock and combine for at least 50 to 60 of the Pelicans' final point total, and if the bench unit and the role players of the Pelicans can outscore and outplay the deeper bench and role players of the Thunder, then the Pelicans can win this, and this series will go the distance and go 7. For the Thunder, the X factors of this, obviously, Chet Holmgren will now probably have his toughest challenge outside of playing Victor Wembanyama, Nikola Jokic, and Joel Embiid. He'll have to face Jonas Valanciunas, and that's a tough matchup for anyone. Now Chet Holmgren is a multi-level scorer. He can shoot the three. That shouldn't really be difficult, but he also likes to go down there and bang. And I don't know if that'll really work well for him against Valanciunas, who's an anchor down there. But I think that if Chet Holmgren can dominate that matchup against Valanciunas, if he can stay on the boards, if he can create multiple opportunities for the Thunder to be able to score the ball, then the Thunder can win this game. So Chet Holmgren, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to get his, but Chet Holmgren in his first playoff matchup, if the moment's not too big for him, as it often is for most rookies, if the moment's not too big for him and he can score at least 25 to 30 a night, then the Thunder will have no problem with the Pelicans. If he can dominate Valanciunas in his matchup, it's going to be great. And can a third scorer materialize for the Thunder? Again, this might be like the 5th or 6th team that I've talked about this with. Can a third scorer materialize for the more dominant team? Can that third or fourth scorer show up for the Thunder? And if they can, then the Thunder should win this very handily. And the way I'm thinking, if all these factors come to play, if Chet Holmgren dominates Valanciunas, if the role players in the bench unit do what they're supposed to do and beat and outplay the Pelicans bench unit, and if a third or fourth scorer shows up, for the Thunder, then the Thunder should win this series. They should sweep the series, really. So my prediction, I think CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram's greatness. I know most people aren't like, oh my God, I've said that, of those two, that's probably what you'll have the most beef with of this whole episode, is me saying the greatness of McCollum and Ingram. But yes, the greatness of McCollum and Ingram should get them at least one game. It was good enough to get them one game over the Kings. It should be good enough to get them at least one game over the Pelicans. I still think I'm going with youth and talent over experience. I'm going to pick the Thunder to win this in 4 or 5 games. I think it'll be a sweep or a gentleman's sweep. So yeah, so that's my playoff series preview. Thank you so much for joining us on the Sports Hour Plus with Miller and Watson. NBA 2024 NBA playoffs first round preview episode. Look for more of these as we get deeper into the playoffs. Morgan and I will probably do a draft episode as well. But we'll definitely cover these playoff matchups, how they're going, what's my prediction. Again, for those of you that may be joining us late, I'm picking Magic and 6 or 7 over the Cavaliers. Timberwolves over the Suns in 6. Sixers over the Knicks in 5 to 6 games. Nuggets over the Lakers in 5 to 6 games. Heat and Celtics. Celtics in 5. What are the other games I'm missing? Celtics in 5. Pelicans, Thunder in 4 or 5 games. Bucks, Pacers. Pacers in 6 or 7, and then Clippers, Mavs. I think I said I'm going with the pattern. Mavericks in 7 over the Clippers. So yeah, thanks for checking this out. Have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy some playoff basketball. Like I said on Thursday, lacrosse is picking up, softball's picking up. We got the gymnastics championships. This is more about the NBA playoffs. Definitely check that out. There's a lot of good sporting events happening this weekend, so make sure you check that out. And I will catch you again next week. See y'all.